Hey guys, my name is Travis Simmons. I am the international best-selling author of the Infernal Design series and the Revenant Wyrd Saga. I come to you today from my very messy room to read an excerpt of one of my newest books, A Guardian of Shadows. I had initially planned on reading a little bit longer segment, but that kind of ran me into some spoilers that I don't really want to reveal this early on in maybe your adventure into the series. So, here we go. Chapter 1. Joya hummed with power, with Wyrd. She gazed into the sinister fog bank of the Shadow Realm and desired nothing more than to step into it, be enveloped in its darkness, and become one with its borders. The shadows called to her, and her heart answered in turn. She shivered. How could she be so drawn to this accursed land after all she had learned about it in her childhood? This was the land of demons, of chaos hounds, of alarists. This was the land of the cursed, of the damned, of the negative side of spirit. The people within the shadow realm hated those from the holy realm. She was from the holy realm. Why did Joya ever think it was a good idea to come this way? She closed her eyes and braced herself against the lure of the shadows. She had to be strong. This was a test. This was the shadow realm. But if she thought about it too long, Joya could feel the shadows licking out of the border between the realm of earth and the realm of shadow to caress her skin, calling her, welcoming her home. What do you think we'll find inside? Jovian asked, more than a slight quiver of fear and anticipation in his voice. It broke Joya's communion with the swirling abyss before her. Come on, Jove, you know what we'll find in there, Angelica said breathlessly. Her eyes gazed straight ahead, as if the sight could penetrate the darkness, see what lay beyond. But there was nothing to see beyond, only more darkness. And occasionally a shape, Joya thought. At times she could see something skirting under the surface of the shadows, swirling against the boundaries of the darkness, rippling it like water. She shivered again. Most of her life, people had assumed that she was from the shadow realm due to her dark hair and features. Joy had to persuade them she wasn't by showing the white stigmata on her palms, marking her as one from the holy realm. But she reserved her judgment about what this realm was actually like. She had heard stories, and none of them good. How could they survive, she wondered. In the shadow realm there was never any trace of light. The fog bank that stretched up to the heavens also blackened out the sun, it was said. She figured there would only be one way to find out. Through the fog bank, Joya could barely make out some source of illumination. It was milky, almost like clouds strewn over the expanse of their sky, casting about an intermittent, ghostly light. She could also see flashes of lightning. Is it storming or is that natural? She wondered. But the stories can't all be true, can they? Jovian asked. Use your eyes, Jovian, Joya said. What do you see? Do you think anything good could come out of there? He swallowed hard. Angelica shook her head. But it tempts us, Joya said. It wants us to come inside. Her palms itched where the white stigmata marked them. She tried to push the thought from her mind, but when she ignored the itching, it only grew worse. Rubbing and scratching wouldn't make the sensation go away, and she cursed silently. What do you feel? Jovian asked. She shook her head. Can't they feel it? She wondered. Where do you think Grace and the others are? Angelica asked, looking behind them. How could she turn her back to the shadowy fog bank? Joya couldn't imagine. Probably a long way behind us, Jovian answered. The Shadows Grove brought us here. Goddess only knows how far we've traveled. They were still in the sacred forest, that they knew, because the Shadows Grove couldn't travel outside the forest, and it had deposited them here moments ago. But if Joya had to guess, they were on the edge of the forest, because the trees were thinning down to saplings and brush. Is Grace okay? Angelica asked again. What happened to her? She's possessed, Joya said simply, rubbing her hands on her gray riding dress. She gave a look back to where the horses were tethered, but they didn't seem to be fazed by their proximity to the Shadow Realm. Their fairy guide Tigeris flitted above the horses, and the Germanate Gob stood silent sentry, watching the LaFays at the border. Their entourage wouldn't be coming with them into the Shadow Realm. Their guidance ended here, but Uthia had said she would come along with them. The Dryad made mention of something she needed to do in the Shadow Realm, as if she traveled there regularly. How do you know? Jovian asked their older sister. What other option is there? Joya asked. She certainly isn't acting like herself, and she's using Wyrd proficiently enough to shame a sorcerer, and she attacked us. Do you think she'll be okay? Angelica asked her. How am I to know these things? Joya asked. I do know that we're stalling. Where we need to be is home, and either we travel around the realms, bypassing the Shadow Realm, or we go through. She pointed at the fog bank, as if her finger was a compass directing their way home. The prospect of going through the Shadow Realm finally sunk in for Joya, and she felt her heart quicken, thundering through her ears. Joya didn't want to go around, however. She wanted to go through. Every fiber of her being wanted to sink into the embrace of the shadows, and that scared her more than the fleeting faces she saw rippling the surface of the darkness. She closed her eyes and took a deep breath. And that's where I have to end because the next paragraphs give away way too much of the previous story. So if you're interested, this is the book, A Guardian of Shadows. It is available on most retailers, definitely Amazon and Smashwords. I will be posting links in the description below. And I hope you've enjoyed this excerpt. I'll see you next time. Bye.